Yeah, so I worked in a primary school with year six pupils primarily because we'd noticed a difference in sort of children not necessarily being fully prepared for the secondary transition. So I went back to primary to go, right, let's start at the year six level and worked with a local primary school. The children didn't know me beforehand, so that was a bit of an initial, I would
Mm,
say challenge, but in some ways just something I needed to be mindful of and really
mm,
focus on building the relationship. So worked with six year sixes, all from similar backgrounds, similar sort of family dynamic, very busy households and lots of siblings and they most of them were the oldest or one of the older ones, so they had a lot of like caring for younger siblings going on. And we did 10 sessions in total, over about 12, 13 weeks because of SATs week and half terms. And what I really noticed in how they developed was they shocked me in the 2-2-1 structure, how much they jumped on that and asked for it every time. When are we doing our 2-2-1? Can we do our 2-2-1? So even when we were doing our sort of initial every day, we'd have like that initial, let's see, check in, see where we're at, starting activity is can we do the 2-2-1 now? So they really engaged with that and loved that, I think, because it gave them that time to speak with no interruption. But it also meant it was fair because there were some children in the group that I think could have spoken the whole time. But they liked that structure and just modeling the language and the empathetic responses. It didn't take very long for especially a few of them to really be quite powerfully empathetic to each other. And some of the responses I got sort of blew me away. Um, and they
Can you give
really
me an
valued.
example? Could you give me an
Um,
example?
yeah, so some of I mean, the when it first started was when I shared about um, it was about my mum. My mum had broken her arm, and I'd been quite far away from her at the time, and they were very they didn't initially they weren't sure what to say, but one of the young girls, her first thing was just she was like, I'm so touched at how much you care for your mum. um and that's all she said, and she just sat there and she was like, I just drew a big heart. And then the others were like, yeah, you must have been so worried, like. And then one girl talked about, I'm trying to remember exactly what she said, but it was about feeling hopeless because the accident happened in Hampshire and I was in Cornwall. So I was really far away from my mum and didn't really know what was going on, what hospital she was in, whether she was okay. So just the fact that they picked up on the hopelessness of the situation where I
Mm,
couldn't be there
mm,
for her. And I think before that, they had been very, here's a picture I drew, or
mm,
it'd been very, I understand how you feel because, and then they talk about something that happened to them, and I had to been done a lot of like pausing and redirecting back to
mm.
the actual speaker. So that was a huge turning point for me.
How
And then it only grew
wonderful.
from there.
How wonderful. What a wonderful experience. Well
Yeah, they
done.
were good at we talk a lot about short phrases
Yes.
and not waffling on too much
Mm,
when we're giving our responses. So I was trying to model that quite a bit because they would get carried away with their storytelling.
yeah. Yeah.
And a few of them said things like, there was no one to help you. And then, gosh, how scary, like that. But that was like different. I imagine
Yes.
you were so worried, that really short, simple, and just we gave each other little rounds of applause every time. I was like, yes, you're getting it. Like, and I think the having the speaker that they were empathetically responding to respond back and say, whoa, you really got me, encourage that. I kind of didn't need to do a lot at that point.
Mm,
They were already validating each other, and
mm.
it was wonderful. They took it to they were like mentors at playtime for the younger ones.
Were they?
Yeah, and they came back to me one session. It was probably about session five, six, seven, somewhere around the middle mark.
Mhm.
And we're like, guess what we did? And we do this at playtime. And there was this argument between these, and we managed to sort it without the adults. And the teachers were so impressed with us. And we made sure everybody was heard. And they were just talking over each other to try and tell me their success. But Yeah, it's
Oh
like
my
what
God.
you say, what goes around comes around.
That's exactly right.
Mm.
And the more we can do this together, I think that's also, I think for me, one of the potent things of the group work is the problems are so great out there that the one-to-ones, is great. We can have people in schools doing one-to-one support.
Yeah,
But actually,
brilliant.
the things about being able to get a group of children together, we're working with more than one, but also how they can take that sort of collegial sort of support of each other and then into their community because they
Yeah.
can support each other in it is just
Yeah.
wonderful.
The kind of learning together. I
Mm.
think there is, like you said, there's value in that one-to-one, but I'm almost reflecting it even of what I've done in the past and thought, actually, would I have got more out of that young person if they'd been in a group? Well, we agreed on an ending because they were terrified about ending before we'd even started. They once we'd done a few sessions, they didn't want to end. So we agreed to have like a mini celebration of our success, and we had snacks and games, and we did a lot of the attachment games. They liked Big Beach, Little Beach quite a lot. We played that quite a few times. Um, but yeah, we played that, and then they chose one of the TIS cards. We've been using them in most of the sessions because, again, that's something they loved because it was just a way of going, this is what I want to talk about today, and having that
The
prompt.
emotion cards.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
emotion cards.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They picked things like that. I love them. I love relaxing with you. And it talked about that. I know some kind people now. Somebody now believes in me. Those are the sort of cards they picked up. And then they talked about a lot of the feedback I got verbally was that I'm not alone. I'm finally understood was a quite powerful one. Tears in her eyes as she said it, and I was like, I was the same. I was like, oh my gosh. Friendship came out of one little girl who was very quiet at the beginning, and was far louder by the 10th session. So she felt like she'd really bonded more. Calming and heard were the other words I think that I had. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, we had to sort of do a countdown to that over like the final four sessions because they
yeah.
were concerned about it. So I had to manage that quite well.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
the school I was in was very supportive, so I knew they'd be okay afterwards. They are more empathetic. I mean, the class teacher and the head have said, can you just come back and do it every year? And can you do it with the whole class? Because we need more of this. So they are really keen to learn more.
Of
Yeah.
course, we need more of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I
how
said, exactly,
wonderful.
yes.
What a wonderful success, Jenny, because just to want to have the whole class today, that's just
Mm.
music to my ears.
Yeah. I think we should start as early as possible. You can teach some of
Yeah,
this right down in
absolutely.
reception, can't you? And
Absolutely.
then
Absolutely.
I mean, that's my goal now is to empower sort of the SLT in schools to encourage that kind of
Mm,
dynamic and how to hold the group because actually it's not just me that can do this.